the homemade self-defense walking stick. I have two options to show you. Both I made, both were less than $10. This is an 1.5 inch oak dowel rod, and it is very heavy, especially since I've been soaking this. I've soaked this with so much mineral oil, probably about 30 cents worth, but that's a lot of mineral oil, a little bit of sandpaper. You get the dowel rod from the local hardware store. This is an inch. This is also oak. You can see the difference in diameter there. Actually, this might be even, I'm pretty sure it's an inch, but looking at it, it looks like this is 1.5 inches and this is an inch. But when this one hits extremely hard, it's just as fast. It's a little quicker because it doesn't have as much weight, but they're both going to be very useful for you, both very effective for self-defense. When you want a homemade self-defense tool, the homemade self-defense walking stick is a very good option. I'm going to show you how to use it after we warm up real quick. I did this video a little earlier today, ran out of time. I said I'd be back, and here we are. We're training again. Always start with a proper warm-up, get blood to flow into the joint. Keep yourself safe from injury during your training. Just for about 30 seconds, put it into the other hand, and you're just turning. If you want to learn how to train with a homemade self-defense tool, a walking stick, super simple. Give me the thumbs up if you like this topic. Thanks, Doug. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody else. You're just going back and forth, get the blood to flow, loosen up, lubricate that joint, stay safe from injury. Now, getting into the first position, the hand is going to slide down the front. You'll be walking with it as if you would walk with any walking stick. Just goes in front of you, you walk up to it, your hand slides down, you pick it up, and you point it directly at the threat. We're gonna call this the threat. I'm gonna pick them up a little bit. My hand is here, I lift it up, and I simply point it at the threat. I'm gonna adjust the camera angle a little so you can see more of what the hands are doing. It's nothing fancy. I have 3 positions I'm gonna show you. One is here, and I get it in this position. Now, if it comes into this front hand, I can easily, quickly, forcefully shove this thing right through his face for self-defense. The idea is you're using this hard piece of wood, this hard piece of oak, against soft flesh, tissue, teeth, throat, solar plexus for self-defense. You want to think about what can you remove or destroy? What can you target? What target can I take away from him? His ability to see me, his ability to breathe temporarily or permanently. So I simply point. I can thrust with one hand, I can thrust with 2 hands. The second technique is going to be just a quick strike, coming down and at an angle. This simple angle, keeping it in front of your body always. Always fight from behind your stick. So if your hand is here, you slide down, you point, you can step in to make your body a smaller target. You can step back to make your body a smaller target. You might be mid-step, and it comes into the other hand, which might be in the front, but it's all going to be a quick thrust right after that first motion. From here, I get into this better position, thrust into his face, and I can bring it down in this chopping strike now from this side, or I can bring it down if it's in one hand from this side. Either way, it's between me and the threat. I'm gonna keep my stick in front of me. So from here, I thrust. Again, you don't have to be super strong, just have a good grip, and not even the most powerful grip in the world. Strong enough to hold it, and then let the stick do the rest of the work. That hard piece of wood is going against his soft tissue. So it doesn't have to be a super hard strike. You're gonna bring the strength to the next strike. Or if it's in the other hand, bringing it from this side. Either here with both hands, here with one hand. If you turn your shoulders and your hips at the same time, you're going to generate more force, more power, more speed. If you also step into the strike, you're going to knock him out for self-defense. You're going to create a lot of devastation for self-defense with this hard piece of oak. And again, I'm using this thicker one, but pick the one that's right for you. When you're doing a homemade self-defense tool, it's your choice. They're both, this one I think is $7, this one is $8 or $9. There's not that much difference. They both came from the Lowe's hardware store. I took a little bit of sandpaper. This one was actually half price, so this was less than $5. But a little bit of sandpaper, a lot of mineral oil, soak it, rub it in with a nice rag, dry it off a little bit, and then train. It's as simple as that. It doesn't take any amount of time to go from here to a self-defense tool very quickly. I'm going to go with the lighter one so you can see how much faster these motions can be, and you still have a lot of strength when you get that other hand on it. The third strike from here, after you do this strike coming off of the shoulder or off of the other shoulder, I want you to bring your hand straight in and just blast right through soft tissue. Target what can you remove or destroy? His eyesight, his ability to breathe temporarily, permanently, his ability to be awake. Smash him right in the brain for self-defense, literally. I'm here, my hand is on it like a walking stick. That's what it is, right? This is a homemade walking stick. I slide down. It's also the perfect self-defense tool. Thrust, strike, and again, turning, shoulders and hips. Take the step for extra power. Get the other hand on it and blast them. If you happen to get it into this position first, all I did was bring it across my body, point it at him. That's all you're doing. Your hand goes down the front, point it. If you bring the other hand up, catches it, thrust, angular strike, and you can blast. You don't even have to change your hand position. I naturally do. You can if you want. Thrust this way, but just pushing this way is also just as powerful. You don't have to have this grip. This grip is going to work. This grip is going to be faster. Don't overthink it. Just hit him. From here, bringing your hands closer together as you go side to side across the sides of his head, across the side of his neck, just boxing his ears, right? You can turn that hand over again if you want, just smashing from side to side. Now, those are the strikes we talked about a little bit earlier today, sliding down the front. But I want to show you sliding down the back because you're going to do a different set of techniques, and they're both effective. Train for both. From here, your hand simply comes here. The first set, you slid your hand down the front of your walking stick. The second set, on your homemade self-defense walking stick, you're going to slide your hand down the back. Now I put a link below. If you need to order sandpaper, a dowel rod, and some mineral oil, you can do all that on Amazon. I put the link down there if you want. Doug said he got the 7/8 inch hickory cane. I had another client I worked with this morning, Doug. He also got the 7/8 inch hickory cane. We used it for the first time in his training. We did a training session virtually. We do it through the internet, and he loves it. He's excited. He's getting ready to go on a nice trip overseas, and he wanted something that was a little bit lighter. He's getting a little older. Same thing, arthritic fingers. And I said, go for that 7/8 inch hickory from Cane Masters. They'll make it for you. Just tell them I told you what, and he knows exactly what it is. If you call Cane Masters, tell them that I told you to call them. We've got a special lightweight cane that's just as strong. It's just a lighter hickory cane. Anyway, so your hand slides down here. You're going to thrust this right into the face. So if your hand is here and it comes from behind, you can now immediately, it's not a complicated move. It's not a fancy move. It's just that immediate direct explosive. Shortest distance between 2 points is that straight line between this position. Hey, you're getting too close to me. I slide my hand down, and then I stick it as hard as I can for self-defense, right into his throat, right into his face, right into his stomach, right into his groin, solar plexus, whatever my target is, whatever I've decided, okay, I can't get out of this situation. He's going to hurt me. I'm going to hurt him before that happens for self-defense. What am I going to do? I'm going to take his eyes, right? I'm going to take his throat. I'm going to take his, and then I'm going to close with and destroy. And you're going to do that with this immediate, direct, explosive, shortest distance, that first technique. From this position, you can turn your elbow up. Don't pop it up this way, but just bring it up a little bit. As you turn your thumb toward the ground, look what's happening to the back of that. Now, I've been told that's not going to be a powerful strike, but I can tell you from having done it thousands and thousands and thousands of times, literally, that is a very powerful strike, and it doesn't bounce back. You're not in any danger of it popping out of your hand. Doug said he got his at the Quantum Cane Master site. Thanks, Doug. If I take my hand and if I start doing a butterfly spin or something, whatever, figure eight spin with the bow staff, and maybe I hit and it bounces, That's not what this is. So it might be that when people see this, they mistake it a little bit. When I bring this up and I bring it over, see, I hit him once, I hit him twice, my second strike. If I hit with that second strike, it's pushing all of that back into the palm of my hand. So there's no danger of it stripping out of my hand. You're not going to lose your staff, your walking stick, your hanbo. This is the Japanese hanbo. You're not going to lose the hanbo when you strike this way. It won't come out of your hand. It's not putting a lot of pressure into your hand. You're using kind of this turning of your shoulders and hips. There it is again. You want real knockout power when you're using a homemade self-defense tool, a self-defense walking stick. The best rate to generate knockout power, stopping power for self-defense is extension and rotation. And then, of course, if you can take a step with it. If I do at least 2 of those and then take the third step, I'm going to just create so much destruction for self-defense using my walking stick. So will you. Whether I use the real heavy 1.25 inch or I use the super fast, lightweight $4 at Lowe's, right? A little bit of sandpaper, a lot of mineral oil, lots of flexibility, homemade. I always say invest your time before you invest your money. This is one of the best ways. Get a little bit, get a broomstick, cut the end off, go 36 inches. You want the right dimension, 36 inches from the ground. If you, I'm gonna try to pick it up. It's a little bit shorter than my bow. To use a toe pinch, but you don't need to invest a lot of money, right? Go for something simple. Go for something basic. A homemade self-defense walking stick is just 36 inches. Or what's the right height for you? If you're tall, really tall, 6'5", 6'6", or taller, go for a taller walking stick. If you're not as tall, 5'5", 5 feet, go for a shorter than 36 inches. Basically, if you look at how my arm is extended, where my palm rests, and just that natural break, which is my wrist, where the wrist comes together, my hand rests here, 36 inches is about right for most people. And then, I think Doug said this one time, you can put something on the end. You can go to a, Walgreens or CVS or go to one of those stores and just get one of those commercial cane tips. Just put a cane tip on it if you want to keep it from getting all chewed up. And then put a lot of oil on it. It looks stylish. You can dye it a little bit or stain it, make it a little bit darker, make it look like a nicer walking stick if you want, or just carry it around like this. You don't have to carry it in any super fancy way. Doug says when you strike, you pull through or just bring the stick to the ready position. Let's talk about that real quick. From here, we went over this first position. When I'm in this position, I simply strike. I'm not gonna pull back and thrust. I like immediate. I like as fast as possible. On all the strikes, I might pull here and bring it down out to generate the most strength and power I can. However, if I'm going for speed, it's just quick and just like I would if I were using kendo, like a Japanese sword or a bokken. If I were fighting with a sword or a weapon, I'm not gonna have time to pull back. If I'm punching, I don't pull back ever, never pull back on a punch. If you pull back, that creates time. A lot of times in kicking martial arts, taking a step and kicking takes time. Never take a step, always just lift and kick. From here, thrust, strike. There might be a little bit of a pullback just to get that going, but I can thrust and I can bring the backhand through and I don't have to go for that strike. Then I'm in this position and bring it back. And so you can practice 1, 2, 3, 4, and put them together and practice your flow so that you never pull back, and you can get better and better at that. If I take my hand and slide it down the back, from here, there's no setup. It's just immediate, right through his throat, right through his face. From here, just turning, taking that right into the side of his skull for self-defense, maybe into a rib, maybe down to his leg, and it's shoulders and hips. It's always going to be shoulders and hips. Shoulders and hips, and then move if you need to, if you need extra power. If this is your follow-through ending strike, you can take that hard extra step. And again, with all that strike, all that power I just generated, I don't feel much resistance in my hand. I'm not getting a lot of pushing into my hand. This is a very powerful strike. and the weight of this oak stick, that's doing all the work. You're not going to feel it. It's not going to bounce out of your hand in that position. From here, I can turn my hand, palm out. If I'm here in this position, I can just turn, point the thumb like I do with all my other weapons, and now slide it through. You can do like that pull cue strike. I can bring the back hand through, bring the front hand in. I can box the ears. I can push through the middle. I can slide back, strike on top. I can even bring it up, right up under his groin to strike, all from this position here. The key is when this other hand gets on it, now you can move your hands in different positions, right? Either you need more room to strike here, or you need more room pushing up here, coming around from the angle. See how my hand is, it's doing two things. It's changing where it is, so it's sliding up toward the other hand, but at the same time, it's also pushing forward. So I'm creating this force here, my hand's pushing here, but it's also sliding up here. I don't know the mechanical principle. Maybe somebody does, you can put it in the comments below. But I'm sliding as I'm pushing, as I'm turning shoulders and hips. Here, I'm just coming straight through like a rifle butt strike, right? Or bayonet attack. Coming straight down, over the top, up under the groin. So fast, so effective when you keep it simple and you keep it direct. Thrusts, basic strikes, angles, horizontal, vertical, straight through the middle, and then ask yourself what targets can you remove or destroy. So let's review real quick. The first way to use your homemade self-defense walking stick is pick it up and point it, right? Your hand goes down the front of the stick, and then you're in a better position. Thrust, strike, 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 strike. All these thrusting strikes, two hands, one hand thrusting strike, almost like a spear, like Morgan from The Walking Dead. That's I've seen him use that technique over and over again. And I know that's a TV show, but TV shows are based on these moves, right? They learn from the martial artists, they learn from the self-defense. Unless it's a fantasy weapon like a laser gun or something, but that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about stick, basic stick. How do you use it? It's very effective when you keep it simple. The second way, sliding your hand down, allowing you to, and you might have to take this posture first, and you say, you're too close to me, back, don't come any closer, I'll have to defend myself. Back up, and just immediately respond with a hand here. You can slide it up a little bit more if you want. Walking tall, speak softly and carry a big stick. You and Teddy Roosevelt. And I've heard that's an African proverb too. Probably is. There's no new ideas, right? We slide down here, thrusting, turning, shoulders and hips. Turn your hand, get it in the other position. Now you're back to that first techniques. Striking here, these kinds of thrusts over the top, again, up, and don't discount these. Practice these under the groin. Practice up, smashing the bottom of his chin. Can you imagine the force he hit there with this big piece of oak for self-defense coming under, and then boom, finish him off there. Now, one more way you might carry the walking stick, the homemade walking stick for self-defense. I'm going to switch back to the lighter option. I'm going to use this spinning. So again, when I do this spin, here's one of the best ways you can learn how to do the finger spin. The finger spin, your hands are going to close and they're going to open. They have to do both. And you have to practice both in order to keep yourself healthy, to get rid of carpal tunnel, to get rid of achy elbows and wrists and fingers. Most people just squeeze. They just use their constricting, the muscles that close. One of the flexors, they just use the flexors. They don't use the extensors, the ones that open. So this is an extensor exercise that gives you mobility, flexibility, strength, speed, gets the blood in there, loosens everything up. And the way to do it is slow it down. And when you get to the pinky, that's when you go back up. It's not going to go around the outside of the pinky. It's going to fall to the ground. So when it gets to the pinky, you pull the middle finger back up and it gets to the first finger. It doesn't go around the first finger. It goes back down through the fingers. So it's kind of an illusion. It looks like it's traveling a lot, but it's not. It's traveling like 1.5 inches. As I go, see how it gets there? Now it's got to come back down because it can't go over the finger. And then there, it's between the ring finger and the pinky. It's got to go back up. And my hand is facing this way the whole time. And eventually, what's going to happen is you're working both flexors and extensors. As one is pulling down, the other is pulling up. And then it's pulling down and the other is pulling up. And you're going to get better control over each finger too. And you can go in both directions. You might smack yourself in the face, but that's good because you'll learn faster that way, right? Bring it down and then bring it back up. Korean master retention technique. I don't know if I understand which one that one is, Doug. And then back up. Maybe you're talking, I don't know if I went over it. If someone grabs your stick, turn and push. That's the basic idea. But there's another one. If someone grabs your stick, you can take your hand and put it over his, see where my hand is going on the thumb? This is so powerful. This is so hard. And you just squeeze, bring this back. Yeah, you're right. Don't get hit by your own stick. So if my hand is here, or let's say his hand is here, you're defending yourself. All of a sudden, they put their hands on your stick. You put your hand on their hand. But don't go for the whole hand. You're not trying to squeeze his hand off. You just really want that thumb. And you want to be able to squeeze, and I can't really show you that well. I needed somebody else, right? If I had somebody here. You put your, it hurts doing it to myself. You put your thumb there and you just turn. You grab their thumb and crunch it into, and use this as leverage around as you turn your hand this way. And it doesn't take a lot of force from you. It's not going to take you a lot of power. Just understand that what's happening is if you're in this position, you're wrestling back and forth, this is how it started. This was his intention, was to rip that out of your hand and beat you with it. But you don't have to go with what he wants to do. You don't have to do what he wants to do. You don't have to get into that pull and tug. Simply move over, put your hand on his thumb, and squeeze as hard as you can as you turn that back toward him. See how that's pushing me back here? And what's going to happen is either you're going to snap his thumb, or you're going to create so much pain, he's going to drop and let go. He's going to drop and try to pull his hand out. And then you have a choice. Let him take his hand out, and then let him have the stick. Literally. Not the way he intended, right? Good evening, Sam. It's good to see you. We're talking about putting your hand, someone takes your stick, put your hand on that thumb and crank, right? And then look what's happening. That hard piece of oak against their thumb. And again, like I said, his intention is to pull it. He's trying to rip it out of your hand. So you go for the thumb and you just crank, boom, just as back as far as you can. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to have a training session. I'm going to have a weekend seminar, and we'll all get together and we'll show each other how all this stuff works. All the little finer details that we can't do really well with a video. Last way you're going to carry it. Hey, Doug. Oh, Doug's saying hey to Sensei Emmett. It's good to see Sensei Emmett. So from here, I can turn my palm in. Let's say I'm just walking down the street, carrying my stick like this. Hey, Justin, it's good to see you. Oh, good. We're going to do nunchuck. I have another session coming up, a live session with somebody here in person, a couple people, self-defense. And then if we have time, I was going to do some nunchucks today and some collie sticks. I love working the collie, Eskrima, our knee sticks. All right, so we're going to, from here, just carrying the stick, walking down the street. I'm not using it as a walking stick, but it is my homemade self-defense walking stick. So if I'm holding it here in this position, I can turn my palm up and it throws it into this other hand. Now I can use it like a sword, use it like a baseball bat. Just don't bring your hands together. You can, but that creates too much of a pivot point, and if you miss them, it'll come flying out of your hand. The difference between a baseball bat, and if you ever see a video or a picture, I saw there was a post by a local martial artist. He's teaching all of his black belts how to do sword, and almost every one of them was like this, which is where you can't create that pivot point on a sword. or when you go too fast, you'll over rotate. It's hard to control it. You want that when you're hitting a baseball, but you want to be able to stop it when you have a sword. So your hands are always separated, at least a hand width. And if it's a shorter hilt, you don't have a hand width, even this much will be good. This will be better than this. But if you're in this position, you bring it over, you can strike, you can do thrust, you can slide your hands to the other side, you can slide your hands back, you can slide it, bring it up this way, you can bring it up this way, you can box the ears, hit the neck, go into the ribs, strike the knees, you can blast them right through the middle, all from this position. The other way to carry it is here, just turn it over. If you turn it over, now you're in that push-up position, bring that through, bring it down, bring it up, snatch them up under the legs, changing, sliding the hand position, boxing the ears, right, rifle butt, bayonet, straight through, all from just carrying it in this position. Can you use it with one hand? Absolutely, you sure can. Just try to keep all of your strikes in front of your body. Don't do any big, wide, swinging strikes. Think of immediate, direct, explosive. Think of thrusts. Think of quick, turning strikes and to generate more power, like we said at the beginning. Turning the shoulders and hips generates so much more power. And then when you take that step, you're increasing speed, power, strength, and you're going to be able to just destroy, create lots for self-defense. Lots of power using your self-defense, homemade self-defense walking cane. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the section below. Check out those links if you need something mailed to you. You can get all this stuff through the mail now if you're stuck at home. God forbid, I hope you're not in Australia where they've got you locked down tight, trying to save anybody from getting a disease that almost no one dies from. Uh-oh, I'm going to get kicked off now. Not allowed to speak the truth. And people are, I know people are. And I know, but anyway, let's not get into that. I don't think it's worth destroying an entire country that might need to come to the aid of the Taiwanese, our good brothers and sisters over there, and free China. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just wanted to show you this again. The one on top is just a lot heavier. And this is the 1.25 inch oak. You can find these in most hardware stores. This is more common. Some will have both. These are both oak. If you can get it in hickory, go for hickory. I'm falling in love with hickory. I used to be an oak person. I love oak, but I'm getting more and more of my Cane Master stuff made in hickory. And Keith Melton over at Cane Master said, you're gonna like hickory better. And I didn't believe him, but now I do. Get one of these big ones though, and let that weight of the walking stick do the work. So again, if you like these, give me the thumbs up. If you want to do more homemade self-defense tools, I always say invest your time before you invest your money. Pick something up, make your own. And then once you get into it, you'll see the value of investing in like a Cane Master's cane or Cane Master's walking stick or Cane Master's set of collie sticks. But in the meantime, get an old broom, cut it up, and start training. I'll see you guys.